Coming up on Kochie's Business Builders, we help a small business find out the secret to ranking higher on search. The AI app that makes designing a new website a snap, plus how the new industrial relations reforms will affect your bottom line. G'day and welcome back to a brand new season of Kochie's Business Builders, the show where we bring you the latest tips and tricks and success stories from the nation's small businesses. Today we're kicking things off with PT Doors, a small family business run by a husband and wife team, Peter and Karina Trail. PT Doors has hit a snag recently. Their website's decline in Google rankings has led to a drop in customer calls. But fear not, Nick Brodgen, founder of marketing and SEO agency Earned Media, is here to help them unlock the secrets to ranking higher on search. Let's hear about their problem now.
Welcome to our display centre here in Menai.
Hey, it looks fantastic. Tell me a little bit about the business.
So the business was started by Peter and myself back in 2008.
Wow. And how broad of Sydney do you service?
We go all over Sydney. All our technicians work in the residential and the commercial space.
Awesome. So you say garage doors, but there's also gates, right?
That's right, so automatic gates.
Automatic gates.
So, you know, the sliding ones or the swing gates,
Yep. Okay, so I've come in today, I'm a digital marketing expert. I cover all channels of online marketing, basically. I've heard you've had a bit of a problem with your online marketing. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Towards the end of last year, noticed our rankings in Google started really dropping. Couldn't even actually find us on any of the first couple of pages. Then we started looking into why that was actually the case.
And how detrimental was that to the business? Like, did that stop the phone calls to the business, or?
Look, it didn't stop the phone calls to the business because we work on a lot of other marketing strategies.
Right.
But we definitely found the amount of people that were saying that they found us via Google had definitely dropped off, because we do ask every customer how they heard about us.
Okay, so you're exclusively then just working in SEO, like organic marketing? You weren't using any paid channel marketing on Google?
No, just organic SEO, and then also doing some advertising through social media, but not very often was it paid.
Well, we're in luck. SEO is my area of expertise. So why don't we go out and have a look and see what we can dig up by checking out the website.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
G'day folks, Tracy Sheen, the Digital Guide, back with another AI tech tip. So, websites, let's be real. How often are you really updating yours? It's a really big job. So, AI is here to help you. There is a really cool product called Reloom. There's also 60 Seconds, Mixo, Durable. There's a bunch of them now where you can go in and describe what it is that you want from your website. And guess what? The magic of AI is building your website for you. It will craft out the number of pages that it thinks you need. It will create a wireframe. And then once you tick yes, it starts populating the content for you, putting in all of the blocks, the images, the text that it thinks that you will need. From there, you simply go in, swap images out as you like, change the text up if you need to, and export it to WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, whatever platform you are using. AI, it's got you sorted.
Coming up, how the government's industrial relations reforms could affect your business. Plus, a former Shark Tank judge drops by with some supercharged sales tips. Welcome back to Kochie's Business Builders. Well, the Albanese government has passed its second tranche of workplace reforms, ushering in changes that could have some pretty big implications for small businesses right across Australia. So, what's the impact for your business? Joining us to shed light on this is Matt Loop, VP and Head of Asia Pacific at Rippling. Matt, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Kochie.
That first pathway for casuals to permanent workforce, what does that mean for small business? How will we need to change?
Well, 2024 is a massive year of IR reform, and I think headline is that employers need to know all of these changes that are coming. I'd say the place where they might be most impacted around this change from casual to permanent is on pay.
So should we be changing our hiring process because of this?
I wouldn't say that you should be changing the hiring process, no. Where companies have been hamstrung or had issues around, again, I'll say payroll as the example, or pay challenges, whether it's gender pay gap or underpaying, is really twofold. One is because they're relying on manual processes. So 48% of Australian organizations are relying on manual processes and not automating some of these things. It's leaving particularly payroll professionals with the burden of having to manage all of this ongoing change and complexity in law. The second thing is they're not investing in the right technologies. 63% of Australian organizations use 3 or more tools to manage HR and payroll. Finding an all-in-one platform where you can bring all that information together, remove the administrative burden, and perhaps reduce the number of manual errors is something that our organization helps with.
And it's pretty easy to access and cost efficient these days.
That's
particularly in small business. We don't have an HR department, we do it ourselves. So why wouldn't you outsource it to technology is important. This other big change, the right to disconnect, to not connect with your employees after hours.
Yeah.
What's that going to do to flexibility?
Hopefully we've all had a bit of a crash course in how to better communicate in a flexible work environment. COVID perhaps provided us a silver lining in that we now have the opportunity to perhaps have better work-life balance. And number one, again, I think is really clear expectations set between an employer and an employee. Be transparent and open with your employees.
Matt, great advice. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
My name's Sabri Suby and I am the founder and head of growth at King Kong, and here are my 3 tips for small business owners. Tip number 1 is that sales is the tip of the spear. Far too often I see business owners, they get caught up in the day-to-day little chores of their business, whether it's answering emails or doing errands and going to the post office, when really everything stems from sales. You need to be spending 80% of your time out there in the front lines and actually ringing the cash register. Does that mean that you need to be the person on the phone closing the deals or writing the ad copy? No, but you need to have exposure to those teams. This brings us to tip number 2, not letting the urgent get in the way of the important. As you're running a business, there are always going to be little fires that just pop up over here, over there. But what happens far too often is that business owners just become the professional firefighter for their business. What you really want to do is, as soon as you have enough cash in the bank that you can really hire a team and have them focus on the day-to-day of the business, you want to be thinking about not what you're doing this quarter. You want to be thinking about what you're doing this quarter next year. And tip number 3 is identifying the constraint in your business. As a business owner, there is always so many things vying for your attention. However, when you're wondering, hey, how am I gonna, grow my business? The thing that you really need to do is take a 10,000-foot overview of your business and look at what is the constraint. You need to very, very clearly identify what that constraint is. And then you need to spend your time and attention on unblocking that constraint. And all of your effort must be in, okay, this is the constraint. How do we unplug it? So there you have it. Those are my top 3 tips for scaling any business.
After the break, Nicole Eckels, the founder of Glasshouse Fragrances, explains how she built a fragrance empire that's taken the world by storm. Don't miss it. Now, if you love candles, and who doesn't, then I'm sure you've heard of our next guest. Nicole Eckels is one of our most successful entrepreneurs. As the founder and chief executive of the Sapphire Group, her brand, Glasshouse Fragrances, has dominated the luxury candle market for decades. These days, she splits her time between the US and Australia, and Glasshouse is a global brand. Nicole, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Tell us how you got a nose for scents.
I think that you, like any talent, I suppose, you are born with a certain desire and a certain thing that really connects to you. And for me, it was fragrance. I have a very strong olfactive memory. It's better than remembering people's names for sure. And it's just always been part of what I love.
Oh, that's interesting. So you grew up in northeastern United States.
Yes.
You worked at Saks Fifth Avenue. A lot of Australians aspire to go and break it into New York and the United States. You moved to Sydney. Why?
Well, I was already in New York.
Right.
And I was raising my 12-year-old, well, he's 12 at the time, son on my own. And New York is a tough place to raise a child.
Right.
And so I decided I was going to move. And I kind of opened the world and said, where am I going to go?
No.
And I chose Australia.
What a massive decision and a huge step for you. Yeah. Wow. How did you come up with the idea for Glasshouse?
I was here working for a wonderful company, and I went to the store to buy a product. And I walked into David Jones, and I wanted to just get beautiful bath and body products, and I couldn't find anything. Yeah. So it was in that moment that I decided I'm going to start my own bath and body brand and my own fragrance brand. And I thought, what product should I do first? Well, I couldn't find any candles at all. So I said, oh, I'll do a candle first because that I can't find at all. And so unbeknownst to myself, we created the scented candle market in that moment when we decided to be the first.
How difficult was it to start with?
Oh, it was incredibly difficult because I had no idea how to make any of these products. I knew as a consumer what I loved. I knew the attributes.
Right.
I knew how I wanted something to smell. I had a clear vision, but because I didn't know how to do any of that, and I needed money.
Yeah.
And so I started with a business plan, and that led to funding with my business partner, who's still in the business today, and that I am so grateful for.
Take me back to those early days. When you look back, what were the most critical steps in those early days?
Well, first of all, the plan was ridiculous. I mean, what I wrote down was just, everything was wrong. Just throw it in the bin. It was just all bad. But I think the critical steps were the things I had to do candles at all. So we're both a brand and a manufacturer, and they're very different things when you think about how you run a business. Yeah. And so that was tough because the learning curve was just, ridiculous on all accounts. Making the product, being the manufacturer of the product, the experts in the category, they weren't here in Australia.
So where did you go for all of that? Because it's not only business, it's the science involved in manufacturing and fragrances, and it's a complicated product.
It's very complicated, and candle making in particular is, they say it's not rocket science, but it's candle science, and no one wants to share because it's so difficult.
What makes Glasshouse different?
It's the product, but everyone can say, well, what about it? When we make anything, we are hunting for the convergence of something that makes you feel something. Fragrances that are different and products that can perform. And when we find that sweet spot of all three things, we know we're onto something. And we live in service of our customers.
Yeah.
What we have to do is look after our customers and make products that they love, that inspire them, that keep them loyal, because that's what I want from the brands that I have an emotional connection to.
Yeah. What was the biggest leap of faith you had to make in the business or with the product?
It was the most recent one, which was when we expanded in the US. So it was 2020. I went home to visit my family. When I say home, visit my family in
Pandemic.
New York. The flight kept getting canceled. Yeah. So I arrived just with the purpose of going for Christmas, coming back. Got a call, your flight's canceled. Canceled. So I'm stuck. And I thought, well, I might as well start on expanding into the US and put together a little bit of a plan.
You're kidding me. You're locked out of Australia. Yeah. You can't get back. So you think, okay, let's look at it as an export market. So it was always in the back of your mind.
It was always in the plan.
Yeah.
But then I actually had to do it. And doing it as opposed to thinking about it, especially when you get to our size, and especially with the millions that it costs to expand, because we're privately owned. And it's all coming out of our pockets, and we're going, okay, it's time. And I just thought, what if I'm deluding myself? And I thought, what if we get this wrong? Yeah. And thank God we haven't, because it's been incredibly successful.
What's been the secret to break into the States?
I think that we just are fresh. We have perspective and a way of doing things that isn't done there. Australian design, it's leading. It really is. And when you look at our product and what we do here, while I'm American, this is an Australian company.
Yeah.
And we brought that aesthetic, we brought that passion, the way we think about things to the US. And a lot of the brands there, they just don't have it anymore.
Best bit of advice for someone starting out on the journey?
I always think that resilience and determination are critical components of any entrepreneurial journey. And for me, I had this phrase about being in, over, around, and through. Be like water. Just every challenge that comes, find a solution, work around it. There's always a workaround.
Yep.
Sometimes it means gutting your strategy, but that's what I will always say to people starting out.
Nicole Eckels, thanks very much for joining
you.
us. After the break, we'll catch up with Nick Brodgen and the team at PT Doors. Welcome back to Kochie's Business Builders. It's time to check back in with Nick Brodgen and husband and wife team Peter and Karina Trail.
Okay, so Peter and Karina, I've had some time to look over the website. Some interesting findings. Firstly, great looking website, really clearly shows your products. There's one glaring issue that stood out straight away though, just to cover off. You guys have more reviews than I think I've seen in your industry before. You have what, 397, so almost 400 reviews. Now, the problem is on your website, you're not displaying it really well. You've just got these little widgets that sit on the site, which just tell people, but then if you click on that, it actually takes somebody away to a Google search. You're getting them to actually go away from your website, where the whole point of this exercise is to get them to your website. Yes. Luckily, you use WordPress for your website. We could install a widget, connect that to your Google reviews and your Facebook reviews, and we can show them on the website. They'll know how fantastic you are. They don't have to leave, and then they can keep scrolling down to the more important parts, which are what sort of garage door do they want to buy. That would be something that you'd want to fix straight away.
Okay.
So I've looked at the SEO. Could definitely see there's been some drops. The problem with SEO is fantastic when you're ranking organically in a top 5 position, even still on page 1, but once you drop off to page 2, the visibility is almost 0, right? So people won't really see it. But the good thing is it's fixable. So all we need to do is look at, okay, what keywords are those pages targeting? What are your competitors doing on page 1? Why is Google favoring their business over your business?
Yes.
So there's 2 types of ways that you can do advertising in the digital marketing space. There's intent and there's passive. Now, passive would be on social media. Say you're scrolling through looking at pictures of family and friends, and then you get an ad. Now, that could sell your product that you don't know you want right now. But luckily for you guys, you're in the intent business. So when somebody wants a garage door or a gate, they know they want a garage door or a gate. So they're going on Google and they're searching for exactly what they want. So you can then easily target them, which is why organic marketing was working really well for you. But since you've lost the organic traffic, we know it's going to take a little bit of time to get that back. We can look at, okay, what are the keywords people are searching that were driving the sales previously? Then we can set up a Google Ads account and we can buy that traffic and send it straight into the website to the exact spot we want them to be, and we can get them to convert, and we can get those leads back within a week. That's going to make things move a lot faster for the business.
Besides our SEO and our paid advertising, have you got any other suggestions for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Another great thing you guys have going for you is, you can see by looking at your website, extremely visual, right? So when people are planning a garage door, they're not just thinking functional, right? They don't just want something that shuts. They want something that looks good. So you can use this to your advantage by creating a lot of video content around all the different doors you've got, how you install the doors, give tips to people on how to manage the doors, how to maintain the doors. So if you can create a lot of short form content that you can post across platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, then you can actually build an audience that's not going to cost you any money, but it's going to be really loyal to your brand. And I know one of the hardest things is when you've got the guys out on the road installing and saying, can you do a video of you installing? They will often turn up with nothing. But if you keep persisting and make it easy for people to do, don't overdo it. Don't try and make it too professional. You'll find that you will start to drive leads from that without having to invest actual cash.
Okay, thank you.
One final tip I could give you before I go is that when rebuilding the SEO campaign, we don't want to just focus on high commercial intent keywords like garage door. We also want to target queries that relate to what's called evergreen traffic.
What's evergreen?
It's a search term that's searched regularly, so it's something that has an amount of people searching it every month. Targeting that generally with blog content is extremely valuable because you can gauge intent by what people are searching. For instance, if someone was searching for how much is a garage door in Sydney, high intent there that they're in Sydney, they're going to buy a garage door and they want to know how much. So if you can answer that question better than anybody else and drive the traffic in there, then you're going to get them very early in their buying stage, and there's a good chance that you're going to convert them also into clients. I really appreciate your time today, guys. I'll touch base again with you in about a week or so and see how things are going with the implementation and look for other areas I can help out.
Thank you very
Awesome,
much.
thank you.
Well, that's some great advice from Nick. I reckon PT Doors will be back at the top of Google in absolutely no time. But that's all we've got time for today. And remember, if you're looking for tips or the latest news and expert advice, then you can find them online 24/7 at kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au or follow Kochie's Biz on Facebook, LinkedIn, Insta and X. See you next time. Next week on Kochie's Business Builders, we meet a social enterprise in need of some e-commerce help. Find out all about Google's helpful content update and how it will affect your business, plus the founder making it easier for tradies to get on the road.